Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome singer-songwriter Robert Connely Farr to the program. Robert, how you doing?
Doing good.
That's good.
How's things going?
Pretty good, man. How was your Christmas?
It was pretty good. Kind of low key. We're up here in Powell River this weekend, so kind of up towards Lund. I don't know if you've been up this way.
No, that's in Canada, right?
Yeah. Just head north out of Vancouver, and then instead of going like up to Whistler, you get on the ferry and you got to go to the Sunshine Coast, and then you got to catch another ferry, and then you basically go all the way to the end of Highway 1, if I understand it correctly.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a beautiful little town. Like, there used to be an old paper mill here, and anyway, my wife's from here, and we got married up here about 8 years ago, and it's just I love to come up here. It kind of reminds me of home in a way. It's like, feels like country, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, where are you originally from?
Originally from Bolton, Mississippi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So would you meet your wife while you were doing shows in Canada?
No. In fact, I never even toured that much. I was studying architecture at Auburn University, and I did a little short stint with a nonprofit after I finished school. And then when I finished that project, I came up to Vancouver just for a little road trip kind of. And man, I literally just fell in love with it, and I was like, I got to live here.
Wow. That's pretty cool, though. I have a few friends in Canada, actually.
Okay. Now, where are you?
I'm in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought that you were on the east coast of Canada.
No, nope.
Oh, okay. So wait, you're in South Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Whereabouts?
North Myrtle Beach.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't think I've ever been to South Carolina. I used to live in Athens, Georgia, and I used to go to Murphy, North Carolina a lot for a New Year's dance at a folk school up there.
Nice. Well,
That's
yeah,
a beautiful country.
yeah. Where I am, every year they have the Country Music Festival. It's in Myrtle Beach.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and it runs for probably about 3 or 4 days. It's like it starts on like a Thursday or Friday, and it goes up to like Monday or something like that. But they have probably like 30 or 40 different country acts, and people come from all over the country to see the show.
Dang, that's not bad. I ought to look into that.
You should. Maybe you could do one of the nights here.
Man, that'd be fun. I could swing through Mississippi and grab my mentor, Jimmy Duck Holmes, see if he wants to come with me. He's an old bluesman.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Well, he plays country blues, so I mean, it's not like the blues, the 8-bar blues you hear. It's more just like old school country blues.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff, though. I mean, a lot of people will dig that around here.
That's it. Well, that's where it all started in a way.
Yep. So tell me a little bit about your musical background. When did you start getting involved in music? How old were you?
Oh man, like I remember listening to Casey Kasem's top 40 country countdown as long as I can remember, and I didn't start playing guitar until I guess I was 16, and I think that Nirvana record had come out. My mom bought me a guitar, and I was like, I learned Nevermind, and but I've just always been infatuated with music, and I didn't really, in all kinds of music. I grew up in Bolton, Mississippi, and Bolton is the hometown of like Charley Patton and Sam Chapman and the Mississippi Sheiks, and I didn't know anything about them, man. Like I rode a skateboard, I had long hair, and I wanted to get the fuck out of there.
That's funny.
Like that was about it. And I picked up a guitar when I was 19 seriously and learned chords, and this older fella gave me a book of Neil Young tablature, and I bought the Decade albums, and away I went. And that was pretty much kind of how it started for me. And when I moved to Canada, I guess about 16 years ago is when I started writing songs and actually recording.
Wow.
And so we're 9 albums deep with Shake It. And it's kind of, the trajectory went from like kind of roots, alt country. And then it just kind of, when I met Jimmy Duck Holmes about 5 years ago, he started teaching me in the Bentonia style of the Delta blues, which Skip James is known for. And Jimmy learned from the same guy that taught Skip, and he started teaching me, and it just totally changed what we were doing. And
wow.
In a lot of ways it brought music back home for me, because Jimmy lives, as a crow flies, about 15 miles from where I grew up. And so just kind of immersing myself into that style of music that comes from kind of right there in my backyard. Wow. It feels good and it feels right, and that's kind of the wormhole we're in right now.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, I believe every band or artist are influenced by someone. Who are some of your influences?
Oh man, runs the gamut, man. I mean, it's just like last year, some of my huge influences were Young Dolph after he got shot to death. I mean, I love Southern rap. Like I love trap music that comes out of the South. I love the way that things are said. I love the enunciation, the cadence. It very much reminds me of the old school blues. And but at the same time, I probably burn up that new Margot Silker record as well. Just amazing country music artists coming out of the Pacific Northwest, and anything Arlo McKinley does, I'm just blown away by. Paul Coffin, Lainey Wilson, this new girl from not new, she ain't new, she's been around for a while, but I seen her on Yellowstone, and she's from Baskin, Alabama, which is about an hour or so from where I'm from, on the same stretch of interstate. And so I just get really inspired by, I don't kind of get into genres or anything. I'm just always kind of looking around just to see what catches my ear. And it could be metal, it could be anything. So it's, but I mean, I love anything good Southern rock. You know, I grew up like Neil Young was the guy, I guess, that kind of really, when I heard some of his songs when I was about 19 or 20, it really resonated with me being a guy from the South and kind of knowing that there was things that didn't sit right with me, but not really understanding why. And I think his music and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and a lot of the musicians, you know, from back in the day that were kind of poking the bear, so to speak, you know, really, I think inspired me as a songwriter to use songwriting as a way to, you know, kind of understand or come to terms with some of the things that I was feeling.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Now, your latest album, Shake It, available now on bandcamp.com. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Shake It is, we released a number of albums under the moniker Mississippi Live and the Dirty Dirty, and those were all kind of alt country and roots rock. And I started releasing these more kind of bluesy rock records, Dirty South Blues, in 2019, and then 2020 we released almost a double album called Country Supper. And around that time I got a cancer diagnosis and I had to have some emergency surgery and treatments. And it was just, it was really weird. And so, you know, it kind of, but it also really kind of, that record was kind of immersed in that experience. And so this Shake It record, right before the cancer diagnosis, the band and I had gone down to Bentonia Blues Festival in Mississippi to play, and we got to sit in with Jimmy Duck Holmes and R.L. Boyce, who's another Grammy-nominated bluesman from Como, Mississippi. He used to play with R.L. Burnside, if I'm not mistaken, and he's just a phenomenal player. And I was really inspired by his playing with him, his watching how he played, the intuition in his songs. Like, you know, he doesn't really write stuff down. He'll just grab a guitar, start playing and singing. And there was something about the immediacy of what he was doing that I witnessed resonate with the people in that juke joint, and it was just undeniable. And so Shake It, for me, I think a lot of the songs on Shake It kind of happened in that same way. It's like I just picked up a guitar. I had a recorder by me. I record everything that as soon as I pick up a guitar, I hit record because songs will come out so quickly. And these songs just came out like Lefty. It came out in the amount of time it takes you to hear it. That's the amount of time it took to come out. I just happened to have it recorded. And so that's kind of how a lot of this record kind of came about, was through witnessing what happened with Jimmy and RL, you know, in that juke joint. And the groove, you know, like that kind of plodding, sitting on one chord, you know, it just, it's like almost like a train, you know.
Right. So how are you feeling now? Was everything okay?
Yeah. Like, in fact, I think I go in for my last scan and everything actually in January. Thanks for the reminder.
Wow.
But you know, the doc says for all intents and purposes it's looking pretty good. So knock on wood here. And but you know, I mean, I got a few friends that's had cancer, and you know, it just the thought of it possibly coming back never really leaves. And right. So but that's been an interesting thing to kind of, you know, explore in the song, you know, and I think Shake It, the song, the title track, Shake It, you know, it kind of was about that, you know. It's like, hey, you know, I know I'm older. I know I ain't young, but I'm getting older, but I ain't that old, you know, and I'm still wanting to live, you know. Exactly. And so that's kind of that song was that's kind of what that song was about. It's like, you know, I'm feeling it, but I ain't gone yet, you know.
Yeah, let's talk about that song. We're going to feature that song, two of your songs, Shake It and Lefty. What's the story behind those songs?
Wow, yeah. Well, yeah, like Shake It was largely influenced by R.L. Boyce. I mean, like the way he, the way he just kind of start and the groove and everything. Like for me, I was trying to keep the groove on a simple kind of. There's a progression of notes that I see a lot in the Bentonia style. But I wanted there to be this kind of jump aspect to it, this kind of dancey feel, or so that's kind of what it was about. It's more of like for me, it's like a juke joint party song. It's like, let's get this room moving, and so that song was about just that kind of, well, at least when I wrote it, it was just about that immediate, just let's just tell them what we want here. Shake it for me, baby.
Right.
And I see RL do that. Like he come up with a hook, and then he just build on that hook. And by the end, 4 minutes later, you got a song out of it, and there's something about that. And it, rappers do it all the time.
Right.
There's something about the cadence and the beat, and you don't need much to make a song if you know how to play the game in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Shake It was about. Lefty, now on the other hand, a journalist asked me a few weeks ago, he said, "Oh, you wrote a song about smoking weed." And I was like, "Really? Which one?" He's like, "I thought that's what Lefty was." I was like, "No, not really." I was like, I'm left-handed, and when I got the cancer, I got testicular cancer, and they had to remove one of my nuts, and it was happened to be my right one. So now I just consider myself a true lefty.
Right.
And, so Lefty was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek. It was like, "Oh, Lefty, take me down the road a ways, buddy. Come on."
That's funny.
So, it's just trying to have a laugh about some of this shit,
Right.
And also, I can talk about it with you, and it brings up the conversation around testicular cancer with men, and it's you hear a lot of talk about breast cancer. You don't hear a lot of talk about testicular cancer, and so I think it should, at least be brought up.
It's important to get checked, right? It's definitely important to get checked.
Yeah, for sure, and to push, and in the States too. I haven't been through cancer in the States, but my dad has, and it's a different process in the States. The doctors even look at things a different way. It's just it was really eye-opening for me, at least, and my dad, because he came up here to meet with the oncologist, and so it was interesting to see the difference in the way the two healthcare systems work.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story, but it is kind of funny too, the way you explained it. You know what I mean? But I guess you got to have a little bit of fun too, right? I mean, I know it's a serious issue, but I'm glad that you're feeling better, and hopefully, and I hope you get some good news in January as well.
Yeah, I got fingers crossed. I'm feeling pretty good, so we're just going full steam ahead here.
Now, you've written and recorded a lot of songs over the years. How do you approach songwriting? What's your creative process like?
It's it's changed a bit. When I started writing, I poetry when I was a teenager, and I just wrote all the way up through college, basically until I started writing songs. Ironically, it was songwriting actually became poetry for me, and so I used to write songs down and kind of come up with a chord progression and things like that. And then I read, and I'd go through phases where I wouldn't write anything for a while, and I'd get weird about it. And then I read this interview with Neil Young, and he was talking about, asking what his songwriting process was, and he kind of said, he goes, I pick up the guitar and I'll play it, and if something comes out, that's great. He goes, if I find myself looking for something, I put the guitar down and I go and I do whatever else I need to do. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if I go pick up the guitar again and that song comes out, he goes, that's great. He goes, I just don't work it. and or try to find it as much as let it come. And I think that really hit home with me in the sense that a lot of the songs that I feel that resonate more with me on a deeper level, especially like with the last few albums, have come from just walking through something and then getting to the point where it gets pretty dark and in the head there, and you pick up the guitar and a song comes out. And it's just like a kick to the gut. Like a few years ago I released a single called Ain't Enough, and it's more of a country ballad, and but man, like it was like right in the middle of the whole cancer thing. And it's for me, it's probably one of the most powerful songs I've ever written. And it was like Lefty. It came out so quickly, and I just happened to have the recorder sitting there. So that process for me is I got to have something recording all the time. And I just sit down and play. And that's really how it happens.
That's awesome. Now you're getting a lot of great reviews. I read a few. Here's a couple right here. Electric guitar blues stripped back to its essence. I've heard no better example of this year. Post to Wire, Menacing Guitarral, Smithsonian Magazine wrote Thunderous Back Alley Blues by Guitar Player. What's it like reading such great reviews about your music, songs that you've written?
Man, I'm really blown away. I don't know what to think, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for what Jimmy Duck Holmes has taught me, and the lessons that he's given me and the encouragement that he's given me, because it's put me back at home. That's where this music takes me. And so when I read that, I'm very much blown away, and it feels like, well, we must be doing something right here. And so let's try not to fuck it up.
Right.
So that's really, kind of where I'm at. And so it's scary because you put these albums out and for me, they're wrapped up in so much kind of pain and turmoil and kind of hard times, if you will. And so to be able to have, and then you put it out there, and then I send it to you, and you're going to listen to it, and you're going to ask me about it, and we're going to talk about some heavy things. And so it's always just scary, So, it's good to read those reviews, but it's also one thing that has resonated with me about the reviews that I've read recently is that people are picking up on the darkness and also the fact that, music is used as a way kind of through that spiritual turmoil, if you will. And, the blues has been that way for a long time for a lot of people. And so just the fact that it's doing the same thing for me is pretty interesting. It just blows me away. It really does. It gives me some, it really inspires me as well. Like it makes me, it's like, all right, well, and the guys in the band too. Cause I play with, one bass player and one drummer. The drummer I've been with for 15 years. He's the only drummer I've ever played with. And the bass player has been with me for almost a decade, and he's the second guy I've ever played with. And, we read these reviews, and it means something. I remember the bass player going, this is, some guy asked him after we played the show, he's like, well, you didn't play, or you don't have this song on Spotify yet. And the bass player came to me like, I never had people that knew that we released, that we didn't have music. Like I've never been, people just hadn't asked me about the music we played before. And so it's interesting because I'm the same way. I'm like, you came from where to see us play? Like, that's like, well, thank you.
That's nice. Now, your music's been heard on TNT, Snowpiercer, and Hulu's Resident Alien, also on Netflix and Lifetime television. Doing what you love, writing and recording music, and then to have these songs featured on streaming services like Netflix and Hulu, that must be pretty rewarding for you, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like some of my favorite music I found on a TV show or a movie, you know, like, and I mean, and that's been for a long time. I mean, I remember being in high school and listening to City Angels soundtrack or the Basketball Diaries soundtrack or Natural Born Killers soundtrack. You know, I mean, like just so many great songs come out in these TV shows, and you know, Vancouver's got a huge scene where they make a lot of TV shows up here. And you know, for an artist like myself, that I've gone to great lengths to keep I own all of my music,
right?
And so if I can place that music, you know, it's not there's no label getting a cut of it, and there's no, you know, it's just it's me and the guys in the band. And so, you know, it's how we try to make money, to be honest with you. And it's hard to get out there and tour, and it's hard. Live shows are just, it's like a boat. It's like a hole in the ocean you put your money in, you know, like, right. So, you know, for me as an artist, that, you know, I don't get a lot of funding from the government. You know, I work a job, you know, during the week. And so we got to come up with some money somehow to make these records, and placing these songs has been a way that we've been able to do that. And so, but it's been pretty cool. We've got another song that's coming out on Snowpiercer this year, and on this next season. And it's a song that we never even released publicly. It was one the music supervisor heard, and she wanted to so now we're going to release that song.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's fun, you know. It's like it's an interesting little kind of scene in the music industry there, I guess.
So how does that work? Like, every time that episode airs and your song is played, you get like a royalty check in the mail, like every so often?
Yeah, like 4 times a year you get a check, and like my music's registered at BMI, and so, you know, if the TV show is more popular, it's better. I mean, like, you remember the show True Blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the song that it's on the start of that show, I think it's the Manson Family, if I'm not mistaken. And like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I met Brother Deej. He's out of Lafayette, Louisiana. He had a song on Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, and it was like one of the more popular songs. And that's placement in that movie allowed him to make the transition to music for good. Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was like, that's the type of, you know, I had a buddy of mine down in, from here in BC, he's got a band called Black Mountain, and another little side project called the Peak Mountaintops. And his one of his songs got picked up for Superman, one of the Superman movies. And, you know, it was huge, you know. That's like awesome. It was just huge, you know. So I think these days, at least for me, it's about, you know, trying to make some smarter moves in terms of what will allow us to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a great way to get your music out there, and also you know, get a little paycheck a couple times a year. Now, you mentioned Snowpiercer. Are you working on any other shows or films that you're going to be sharing your music or providing music for?
Always. You know, I mean, like I'm always reaching out to people. You know, I say this, it was kind of funny. I reached out to the woman that places music on the Yellowstone show. That
would be cool.
It's just a Hail Mary pass, you know. And I even told her, I was like, you know, they say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so I'm shooting. And she wrote me an email back the next day, and she was like, "Hey, did your music get used on Resident Alien?" And I was like, "Yeah, it did." And she was like, "Oh, my friend placed it on that show." You know, it's a small world in that arena there, and it was just nice that, you know, that to even get a message back from her, you know, and I was like, well, you know, I got some music, here I am, you know, so who knows where that goes, right?
Wow.
But it's like Jimmy Duck Holmes says, ain't nobody else gonna toot your horn.
Right. You never know. She may pass on you, but pass it along to somebody else that's looking for someone like you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that would be cool. I would love to see you on Yellowstone. We watch that show every week. We love it.
Oh, so good. And all the spinoffs too. Like, have you seen like 1899 and 1923?
We started 1883. We're actually going to watch a couple of episodes of that today, and then once we're finished with that, we'll start the 1923.
Oh, so good. It's so good.
Well, maybe you could even be featured on one of those shows too. Even the 1883 or the 1923 would be pretty cool.
Now you're talking. I like where this is going.
You know what I mean?
That's it. I love it.
It's word of mouth, right?
You never know.
What is it about music that makes you feel passionate?
I think it's the how it makes you vulnerable and how it well, for me at least, I feel like it makes me vulnerable, and I have to look at some hard things. Mm-hmm. And for me, music helps me get a kind of fresh or a maybe a more clear perspective on some things. That's what it's been doing for me lately, if I'm honest. Like, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's kind of exciting.
It's got to be a little bit of therapeutic for you too, being going through what you've been going through the last few years, correct? Very much.
In fact, this album Country Supper, there was a few songs on there. I did this cover of Angels in Heaven, which was originally written by LaShawn Pace, who's a gospel singer out of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But I heard it on Leo Bud Welch's album, and I was just blown away. And I'm not affiliated with any kind of religion, but I grew up in the church. Mm-hmm. And that song, it just, there was something about the spiritual. Mm-hmm. It gave me some healing, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely does.
Yeah.
Now, you said you have up to date, you have 9 releases, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. All available on bandcamp.com?
Yeah. They're all on the Bandcamp, and first album's more singer-songwriter, and it kind of gets some alt country and roots rock, and then we start to dive into a kind of blues wormhole.
Very cool. Now, do you have a website you'd like to promote?
Yeah, robertconnellyfarr.com, where it's Robert Connely Farr everywhere. We're at YouTube. YouTube and Bandcamp is where we like to send people if we can. That's where we feel it, but we got a web page, and we're pretty much everywhere. iTunes, Amazon, anybody that tries to make money from what we're doing, we're on their site.
Right. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if you're in Vancouver on January 21st, come on out. We're playing an old porn theater called the Fox Cabaret, and it's just a great room.
Nice.
We're gonna do that. That's gonna be one of our big shows for the year. And then if you're down in Bentonia, Mississippi in June, come on out to the Bentonia Blues Festival. We're word on the street is we're gonna be down there this year.
That's awesome. Well, Robert, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really dig the conversation, and I love your music. I think it's really great, and I want to wish you the best of luck with your health this coming year.
Well, thank you so much. It's just an honor, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, especially around Christmas, to chat with me. It means a lot.
Pleasure was all mine. Like I said, I dig your tunes. I dig your style.
Well, right on, man. Well, hopefully we'll cross paths in South Carolina one day.
That sounds good, buddy. Let's stay in touch. And when you have another release coming out, send me a message on Facebook or email me, and I'd love to have you back on the show again.
For sure. Will do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You take care, all right?
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take me to the limit. Come on, let it take me down Let me get high. Let me get high.
The Record Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Hall Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.